Where are all the available homes? Guys, that's the number one question I get from my clients looking to purchase a home. I'll tell you, people are frankly frustrated with the lack of available listings currently on the market. And if you've purchased a home or been in the market over the past few years, I know you can appreciate that sentiment. Hi guys, my name is Josh Finigan, team leader with the Finigan Group, powered by eXp Realty. And today we're gonna spend some time to really discuss why we see such a low level of available homes here in Charlotte and across the United States. And we'll also discuss some of the great solutions that could possibly help with this major issue. And you wanna make sure you do stay tuned till the end, where I break out my crystal ball and predict what we can expect out of the real estate market in the future. For those of you who do subscribe to the channel and continuously watch our housing market update videos, you know that even though we've seen a huge increase in the mortgage rates and have had record low levels of buyer affordability, this market is still red hot. And one of the main reasons why we've seen this housing market stay red hot is because the super low levels of housing inventory. Guys, in Charlotte since January, the average home price has increased by 29%, even though mortgage rates have hovered around 7%. And to answer the question of why we're seeing these low levels of housing inventory really boils down to a few key reasons. Reason number one is the lack of new construction coming onto the market. This issue has been lingering with us for some time, and to really get a full picture of this, we really have to go back to a few years before the Great Recession in 2008. At this time, new construction home builders were very active. Single-family homes were being built at a rate of 1.3 to 1.5 million homes per year. This was fueled in large by builders and developers looking to capitalize on the housing surge we saw in the early 2000s. A few years later, when the bubble officially burst, this left a ton of homes sitting on the market, really overcrowding the inventory. Builders became hyper-focused on selling their current stock of empty homes rather than building, and many of them went bankrupt during this time. And at that same time, due to an abundance of housing inventory on the market and the distress and the strains we saw in the economy, home prices fell by over 30%. Guys, I'm sure we would all love to jump in a time machine, go back to about a decade ago, and buy homes right when those prices fell. And when home sales started to recover in 2011, builders were much more conservative with the amount of inventory they released to the market. This led to a lag between the number of homes for sale and the number of people who wanted to buy one. And even though builders have picked up in the past couple of years, they are still well below the levels they need to be building at to solve this low inventory issue. The second trend really affecting our low housing market inventory is demographic trends and an increase in household formation. Guys, the millennials are the largest generation in the United States right now, and they're entering the housing market in droves. They actually represent 43% of home buyers at this moment, which is the largest share of any generation. And this is really creating a perfect storm. On one hand, you have builders building much fewer homes. On the other hand, you have a huge cohort of buyers joining the housing market. So you have a huge increase in demand and a huge decrease in supply. In the decade between 2012 and 2022, 15.6 million new households were formed. And guys, over 2 million households were formed just in 2022, making it the highest level of household formation in the past decade. And during that same time, we only saw 11.9 million new homes built. And this means by the end of 2022, we saw a housing shortage of about 6.5 million homes. Factor number three is many homeowners are discouraged from making a move because the rates are so high, it becomes unaffordable. We frankly have seen very low rates for a very long time, but over the past couple years, the Federal Reserve dropped their rates so fast, we saw the mortgage rates at record low levels. So many of the homeowners in the area either purchased a home or refinanced, so a lot of them locked in a 30-year mortgage at a 2.5% to 3% mortgage rate. And a lot of these homeowners that want to sell and buy another property are facing a very big dilemma when they look at the current market and see the current mortgage rate hovering around 7%, which for many of these homeowners are twice as high as the current rate on their home. And according to a recent survey conducted by Realtor.com, 82% of these would-be home sellers feel like they're locked into their current home because of the high mortgage rates. And we all know that home buyers don't buy homes for their price point, they buy them for their payment. So the rule of thumb is every 1% change in the mortgage rate affects the purchasing power by about 10%. So this really weighs heavy on the would-be home sellers out there. Right now, new listings hitting the market are down by 25% in the US, and they're actually down by 36% here in the Charlotte area. Frankly, in the words of a recent report by Redfin, buyers can't buy if sellers won't sell. Because of the higher rates and huge decreases in home buyer affordability, we have seen listings sit on the market for a little bit longer this year, which has led to a gradual increase of the amount of available listings on the market at any given time this year, but nowhere near the level to match demand. Are you just a little bit curious on what your home is actually worth? We have seen a roller coaster of a real estate market here in the past couple of years. So what you think your home may be worth and what your home is actually worth could be two completely different numbers. So if you want to know what your home is actually worth and stay up to date every single month as the market changes, then scan this QR code. It'll take you to our website that'll allow you to stay 100% up to date on your home's value. And if you are curious on getting an in-depth home equity evaluation on what your home will actually sell for in this market, all you have to do is fill out a little bit more information, and then I will personally reach out to you, put some numbers together, and tell you what your home is actually worth in today's market. So all you have to do is scan this QR code, fill out your address, put your email in, and you'll know how much equity you're currently sitting on today. Factor number 4 is institutional investors gobbling up available real estate. Institutional investors are large companies or really hedge funds that purchase hundreds or thousands of homes all across the United States. They buy them in cash for the purpose of renting them out long term. And guys, this is a pretty big factor. In 2021 alone, they represented 13.2% of all the homes purchased across the United States. And this represents even a bigger issue for us here in the Charlotte area because over the past few years, these investors have represented a little over 30% of the home purchases in our area. This can greatly reduce the amount of supply in our local area and also increase demand for those individual home buyers who now have to compete against cash offers. And once these institutional investors own these properties, they tend not to sell as frequently as a regular homeowner may sell. So we actually shot a video diving really deep into institutional investors and how they affect our market. If you're interested in learning more, check this video out right here. The good news is, over the past probably 6 to 8 months, due to economic uncertainty, these institutional investors have become much less active. Their activity actually dropped in our area by about 61.9%. Factor number 5 is local zoning laws can restrict the type of home you build and not keep up with new options. According to NPR's article published in March of 2022, the chief economist of the National Association of Home Builders cites that overly restrictive zoning laws have really contributed to the housing shortage. Some single-family zoning laws restrict what you're able to do with the property. So if you have a larger lot that you may be able to fit 2 or possibly 3 homes on, they end up just building one on a larger lot. Or if it's a larger lot, you may not be able to build townhomes, duplexes, or multi-units. So guys, are we doomed? Maybe not. Now, we don't know what the future will hold, but there are some scenarios and things that we can do to really help increase the amount of inventory we see in the United States over the coming years. Scenario number 1 that could really help is really taking a closer look at the zoning laws and finding the missing middle. A recent survey conducted by Zillow found a huge support for these missing middle homes in residential neighborhoods. They found that even if we did modest densification measures, like allowing 2 homes on only 10% of single-family lots, it would greatly increase the amount of supply of inventory and possibly slow this rampant home price growth we've seen. Number 2, we could really focus on legislation and de-incentivize investment. Now, we have seen on the local level some communities and neighborhoods really kind of combat against these institutional investors buying a lot of homes in their community by changing their covenants and restrictions and restricting investors purchasing in their neighborhoods. So we've seen action taken on the hyper-local level, but it will be interesting to see if legislation is taken out to really help with this inventory crisis and institutional investors purchasing so many homes. Another idea is we could lower capital gains tax temporarily to really incentivize the mom and pop investor, those people who own maybe anywhere between 5 and 15 rental units, to really encourage them to sell some of their portfolio. Solution number 3 is to really incentivize new developers and new builders to build more communities. And there's a lot of great incentives that we can look at, all the way from federal support and subsidies to better terms on construction loans. We can also take a really close look at local restrictions and regulations that significantly add to building costs. So there's definitely a lot of different factors attributing to the low levels of inventory we've seen over the past decade, and there's a lot of creative solutions that we really can enact to help get some more inventory and supply for those homeowners that want to buy these homes. But guys, the biggest question is, what do I think? What are my thoughts? What's a crystal ball that we can see here moving forward when it comes to the housing market and our low levels of inventory? Now, I personally believe that we're going to be battling this low level of inventory crisis for the coming decade. There's no easy or quick solution to get more homes on the market, and homes take a long time to build. So it's probably going to be something that we're going to see gradually change over time if we enact the right steps here right now. And as long as we see these low levels of inventory, we're going to continue to see the market remain strong. I mean, it frankly all boils down to supply versus demand. There's a lot of demand here in the area, and we still have Gen Z coming up that's starting to purchase homes as well. So we have a lot more demand coming into the market, and we are still seeing supply issues. In my opinion, the next big catalyst we can see really affect the housing market is once we actually start seeing mortgage rates drop. Now, the Fed has mentioned they may not actually start reducing rates for at least 1 year to 2 years. So this will take some time. But once those rates start to drop, a lot of these home buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines and these would-be home sellers that are kind of waiting for those rates to go down, they're gonna start jumping into the market. So we're gonna see a huge surge in demand, but we're also gonna see a lot of these homeowners that have not sold over the past couple of years because these high rates start getting into the market as well, which will give us a little bit more supply. But guys, I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Comment below. And guys, if you are possibly considering buying, selling, or investing in real estate, or if you just have any questions on our local housing market, feel free to give myself, Josh Finigan, or my team a call. We'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. And if you did like the video, make sure you click that like button and definitely click that subscribe button, turn notifications on so you don't miss any of our future videos coming up, and you can stay in the know on what's happening here in our backyard. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.